Thank you. The representative from Girl Hype, are you available? Representative from Girl Hype, Rabadat Anang, are you available? All right, I think we have challenges there. Representative from MMA, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm present. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you. Representative from BITF, are you available?
Yes, I'm available.
Thank you. Ms. Nomshado Lubisi, please take over. I'll be making follow-ups with Ms. Baratanang to represent Girl Hype. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Peter, for that introduction. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As you heard, my name is Nomshato Luvisi, and I am from Media Monitoring Africa. I'm the head of communications there. And it's a very robust and innovative organization. And I must say, one of its mandates is to empower young people and equip them with the digital and media literacy skills that are needed in today's society. And as mentioned before, this session will deal with critical issues around unlocking the digital potential, focusing on skills development in the digital age. And I must add, what is evident is that we still have a long way to go, as there are various issues that need to be dealt with in order for us to be able to fully unlock this potential. And it's pretty obvious that without digital literacy, there's no way that one can even begin to utilize the infrastructures or devices that are put in place to help us realize this potential. This discussion will be centered around digital literacy programs that aim to empower young people and educate them on how to use the internet responsibly. I am joined by amazing women who have been contributing immensely on providing these skills to our communities and schools. And this highlights, by the way, the important role, if I might add, that women play in our society. I just want to remind you that there is a Q&A section at the bottom of your screens. So as the women are giving their inputs, please feel free to pop in your questions there, and we'll be dealing with them at the end, towards the end of the session. And first of all, ladies, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Are we all there? Would like to see.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you so much, Mshadu. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to fix my camera, but I'm not winning. So I'm going to continue to try. I don't want to log off because we've already started the session. I'm just going to continue to try, but I am present. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Pagamile. So I'm just going to ask, I'm going to obviously give a brief introduction to you, but please give us a full background of who you are and the organization that you come from, and obviously you may proceed to give your input from there. So we'll be starting with Ms. Tiniko Simbine, who's from Girl Code. The floor is yours, Tiniko.
Awesome. Good morning, everybody. As Nomshato mentioned, my name is Diniko Simbine, and I am the CFO and co-founder of Girl Code. What Girl Code essentially is, we're a registered nonprofit organization that aims to empower young girls and females through technology. And we have a series of programs that are aimed at teaching coding skills to girls and women of different ages. And our programs are both virtual and physical due to the global pandemic. But our mission or vision is basically to close the gender gap in the STEM field, and obviously also ensure that there is digital access to everyone in South Africa, including the underprivileged. So our mission is to make sure that as many girls are educated as possible, because again, we know that the future is female. Sorry to the gentlemen who are on the call, but that's just me in a nutshell. And what I do at Girl Code is ensure that financially everything is running smoothly. I also manage some of the programs that we run. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Diniko. And please proceed to give us your input on, when we're looking at the programs that you guys are doing, especially, empowering young girls, by the way, with these skills that usually are not, number one, easily accessible to young people. And number two, we know that, it's been a men-dominated field, and you are trying to obviously bridge that gap that currently still stands. So please tell us more.
All right. Yes. Historically, maths and science were always seen as, subjects for mainly boys and, and men. And girls were historically raised to believe that their place was in the kitchen, and to raise kids. They were conditioned to believe they were obviously not good enough for anything else. And they were not actually never afforded the same opportunities as their male counterparts. And this is very important for us to actually change this narrative, because as a young girl or woman, it's very important for you to have role models who look just like you, to give you that extra push. When you have people who look like you, to look up to, your ability to thrive and succeed naturally increases. And like I said, our vision is to create a network of women who are highly skilled in software development and leadership skills. Women who have skills that can contribute towards an inclusive and innovative technology industry. So with what we do at Girl Code, I think it's very important for us to not only close the gender gap, but also just to raise that awareness of that gap that is out there. Because as much as we are doing what we're doing, it's still not evident as to how big this gap is. But obviously we are making a lot of strides. And it helps having events like this, because we're able to get our message across, and we're able to speak to, like-minded people, and possibly form collaborations. Because I think in order for us to unlock the digital potential and skills development in this digital age, we all need to work together at the end of the day in order to help close this gap. And especially now with how we're facing a global pandemic, and we as a nation, we're forced to pivot and make sure that as a country we are doing the best that we can for the nation and the youth that is coming up. So I think it's very important, again, to involve women in all this planning that's happening, because we all know, when you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Women are naturally nurturers, and we multiply everything that we're given and that we're involved in. So yeah, I think that is my 2 cents regarding unlocking the digital potential.
Thank you so much, Ms. Diniko. And it is not 2 cents, it's 100,000 millions, because we need that. We need to know more about these programs. Up next, I'm gonna ask Ms. Phakamile Khumalo, and she is from Media Monitoring Africa, to introduce herself, give us a background of who she is, organization, and obviously dive into the program that she's heading and part of. Phakamile, over to you.
Thank you so much, Nomshado. You can hear me, yes?
Perfectly.
Lovely. So my name is Phakamile Khumalo, and I lead the Web Rangers program at Media Monitoring Africa. So I'm Nomshado's colleague. The Web Rangers program, just to kind of give a background, the Web Rangers program is an international digital and media literacy program that is really designed to empower young people with critical skills so that they can engage with the media and the internet responsibly, and then also encourage their peers to do the same. In South Africa, this program is implemented by Media Monitoring Africa together with program partners like Google, Facebook, MTN. We have the Film and Publications Board, we have DCDT, and Diana Schwartz Attorneys. So we have a whole diverse consortium of partners, from tech companies to service providers, government, and civil society. So it's a really good mixture and provides us with a whole diverse connections, networks, and also partnerships to be able to make the Web Rangers program a success. And Dinyuka talked about empowering the girl child in the space of coding. And before we even can get to the coding, so coding is like another step. So what the Web Rangers program does is that it empowers young people with critical media and digital literacy skills. So from how we understand it at Media Monitoring Africa is that digital and media literacy skill is the basic, it's the foundation when we talk about expanding our potential in the digital world and unlocking our potential in the digital world, especially for our young people. Media and digital literacy skills are the foundation so that our young people can be able to engage with the media responsibly and then encourage their peers to do the same. And it's clear from our discussions here that there are a few initiatives that are working hard to ensure child online safety and unlocking the digital potential that our young people have and the opportunities that exist. But there's a couple of factors that we believe at Media Monitoring Africa, together with our partners, that really make Web Rangers stand out and make us succeed as a digital literacy initiative in South Africa and internationally. Is that one is our training. So our curriculum is founded on the concept of empowering young people to become active digital citizens. So in order for a young person, you can vouch for me, in order for a young person to be able to even understand the importance of coding, they need to understand their role in being an active digital citizen and the role that they play in the digital world. And this understanding means that they're able to understand what it means to an active digital citizen and the responsibilities that they have while being online. And we can only achieve that through our digital and media literacy training initiatives like Web Rangers. And what we do through our training is that we begin to see skilled young people who are able to use, build, and work alongside innovative technology in their everyday lives. So again, I'm starting with the basic digital and media literacy skills. And then from there, we then begin to see what Nico is talking about how young people then can be able to use, build, and work alongside innovative technology. And we have a space where young people, young girls are free to understand or are in a better position to understand rather the importance of coding and the importance of being part of that male-dominated world. So that's number one, our training. Number two, once our Web Rangers have gained important skills and knowledge around digital and media literacy skills, they're able to provide support. We're able to provide support for them to create innovative online safety campaigns that empower their peers with skills and information. So it's not just about having Web Rangers skilled, but it's also about tapping into the bigger community, tapping into other young people that are not part of the program and saying, use the skills that you've learned as Web Rangers on digital and media literacy skills to be able to then to empower other young people in your communities, in your schools, so that they can also become active digital citizens. They can understand the importance of using the internet responsibly and safely. And that's number two. And then the third one is that our Web Rangers are not just only learning about online safety and digital media literacy skills, but they're also once they've gained the knowledge, they're also then able to engage in high-level ICT policy discussions and submissions through the Article 12 Working Group, which is part and parcel of the Web Rangers program. And that Article 12 Working Group is a platform for our youth to engage meaningfully in national discussions and processes that will ensure their voices are heard and their participation prioritized, especially within policy processes and policy discussions. So you can see that it's not just about talking about digital literacy, but it's layers of helping our young people understand and empowering them to better understand that the role that they play in the digital world and the potential that exists when they are trained and empowered with information and skills. The potential is really endless. Just to talk a little about the work that we do, especially with our Article 12 group, the very latest Article 12 activity was the development of the Digital Rights Charter that focused on three themes that are centered around children's rights in the digital world. And this was the three themes are online safety, we have access to the internet, and then participation online. And let me just quickly, I'm trying to get the link for those who are interested. I'm just going to quickly put it up on the chat. There we go. And so really this charter comes at a really revolutionary time. Yesterday, I was in a Zoom with the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child, and they were celebrating the adoption of General Comments 25 on the Rights of the Child in relation to the digital world. So it's really important for us to start to think about how we can make the different elements linked to children's digital rights a reality, because now the UNCRC, which South Africa has ratified, has incorporated children's rights in the digital world. So it's really becoming a reality. We need to start thinking about how we can make this a reality for South Africa, and attach this digital space to their rights, and how they can then access those rights, and how they can be part of this digital world, so that they can meaningfully participate in the development of this digital world, and be part of this digital world. Some challenges that we face in our implementation, I think these challenges are similar to maybe other challenges that face adults in the digital world, and maybe have already been discussed, and maybe not in this session, but other sessions from yesterday and today, is around access to the internet. Although we tried to fill the gap of providing our web rangers with data support during our training, more needs to be done, and we know this. And again, Tiniko can vouch for this, and I'm sure because she's the CFO, she's always trying to get funding for access to the internet. In order for for young people to be able to code, they need to be able to have access, whether access to devices, which is an ongoing challenge, and really limits the ability of young people to meaningfully engage in the digital world as active digital citizens, and access to the internet through data, and access to infrastructure, and access to basic knowledge and skills. Again, going back to digital and media literacy skills. The biggest challenge that we've also found with our training is that, never mind basic digital and media literacy skills, our young people lack basic computer skills. And then, so if you are talking to a young person and saying, have you created an email address? They don't even know what an email address is. They don't even recognize the path to be able to create an email address. And so those are kind of the basic skills that we need to start embodying or creating or developing within schooling curricula. And going back to the really big theme, if you want to really unlock the potential that exists for young people in the digital world, we need to start thinking about how do we integrate digital media literacy skills in schooling curricula. So going back to computer lessons, going back to computer labs, going back to basic computer literacy skills, and then once that is formed, then we start talking about digital and media literacy skills and how we can make it a reality in the classroom for every young person across the country. I think that's when we can really start to see an unlocking of the digital world, an unlocking of the potential within our young people, and that's really a more bigger discussion that we need to start having, and maybe we can even start having it here today. But how do we start to make that a reality for our young people? Because we know the challenges that exist in South Africa. We know the South African context. We know that if we continue, if we don't have access to the internet, we don't have access to devices, access to training and empowering of skills, we really are going to find ourselves with a situation where our young people are really left behind in the digital world, and they are not participating meaningfully and responsibly. So I think I'll end it there, Nomshato. I'm sure you said there'll be questions, a session for questions later on. Really interested in hearing what other people have to say, and asking questions about the Web Rangers program and how we've really managed to be able to contribute to the unlocking of skills in the digital world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Phakamile, for that. And I think you also gave into one of the questions, I wanted to discuss at the Q&A, and that is the issues, number one, around our educational system in terms of curriculum, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of digital literacy skills, especially towards our educators, because it's one thing providing infrastructure, but it's another thing when it comes to now implementing the process of educating without the necessary skills. And the other thing as well, just to think about, and I'd like the audience to think about this, is child participation and how these skills that Utinigo and Phakamile have spoken about actually enhances that. So they get into discussions of policy, they are comfortable with the idea of digital media and are able to actually say, we don't want this, we want this, because we have digital rights as well, together with adults. And also the role of parents, do they also have enough skills to be able to support their children who are now gaining all these knowledges, all these skills as well. But it's just a highlight to think about, and we're going to really have a robust discussion around this towards the end of our session. I just need to give the last two ladies their opportunity, obviously, to introduce themselves and tell us more about their programs as well. And what I love is that we've got such diverse programs here today. So please go to the Q&As, pop your questions there, and let's really have that discussion that Phakamile was speaking about. So up next, we're going to have Ms. Masigo Moncho, and she is from BITF. Ms. Masigo, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome, the floor is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Masigo Moncho. I'm the MD of MSG IT Solutions, which is working in partnership with global companies. We provide network enterprise. I'm the founder of Women in Cybersecurity SA. I also represent young people on the as a BRIC Young Leader South African Executive. I'm also participating because I'm very passionate about transformation and managerial leadership. I've participated on BMF as the regional chairperson. Now I participate on BITF as an executive to ensure that there is transformation in the ICT industry. So Women in Cybersecurity South Africa was established to equip 900 women across the country. Most of the people were asking me, Masigo, why 900? I specifically said, no, it's 900 because we have 9 provinces in the country. So we will be equipping 100 each. I was very specific. So we have been running the program with the likes of the universities and University of Technology through our Cisco Academy. We are also MICT accredited service provider to equip those who don't have a computer background, because we cannot start our youth or young people with high-level skills without starting them with basic skills. So we ensure that we also close that gap. We worked with Valley University of Technology. We worked with the Solplaki University in Kimberley, Northern Cape. We have worked with the Central University of Technology. We have also capacitated women CEOs, directors within the BMF, the Black Management Forum. So I felt that cybersecurity professional is in high demand. And South Africa loses about 5.8 billion per annum due to cybercrime. How do we ensure that we equip our youth with skills that are highly required? Or now that we are in the 4th IR era and digital technology, it brings a lot of opportunities. So we need to ensure that to safeguard our networking systems across different departments, different corporate. So South African companies loses about 3.6 million when hacked. So we need to ensure that our data is protected by equipping the skill, because when we equip cybersecurity specialists, they are being recruited by other countries. Hence, we need to ensure that we have more cybersecurity specialists in the country. Managing cybersecurity risk in the ever-changing threat landscape is a major business today. Cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing sector, and we have a huge gap. It is estimated that global shortfall of cybersecurity jobs will rise to 3.5 million. So we cannot be complaining about youth unemployment, while there are new skills that we need to equip our youth with, where there are direct opportunities. Equipping South African youth with cyber skill will reduce youth unemployment by exposing them to direct opportunities on cyber security, since there is a high gap. So in terms of business, not everyone wants to be a professional. Those who want to open their companies, to run companies in cybersecurity space, there are 20 cybersecurity businesses that one can think of. Your penetration tester, forensic expert. We have less skills or professional in this sector, security architect, your security auditors, consultants, security engineers, software development, source code auditor, IS analyst, the list goes on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Masigo. I think you took us more into a very technical understanding of digital skills. So I'm very excited for the Q&A section because I'm sure a lot of people want to deep dive into, you know, cybersecurity and what poses a threat towards that, you know, being dealt with in South Africa. But thank you very much for your input. And I see Ms. Baratang Mea has joined us. Thank you very much. If you could kindly just give an introduction of yourself and the organization Girl Hype, and just, you know, give us an input of what you guys have been doing and what is your mandate.
Hi, Baratang Mea, as you said, and I run Girl Hype. And what we do is we teach young women coding skills. Girl Hype has been around since 2003, so we were there before it became very fashionable to code, when we didn't even know what is code. So that says a lot. I took a little bit of longer time to log in because I had to get all the girls from Girl Hype to come and listen to Masigo, because I always talk about her and they've never met her. And I think they would learn a lot from cybersecurity. So what Girl Hype does is we partnered with schools and formed coding clubs in schools and taught girls how to code and introduced them to what is coding and what it means. And what's been driving me for all these years, it's just been the voice of a woman on the internet, how it's represented and what it means and how it's influenced to be presented. And those are serious issues because it's very light to think about who's producing content and why are they producing it and where does it land if we just go along with the flow of, yeah, let's get so many people on the internet, let's get them to use the internet and give them access without them being represented on the internet. That's the worst we can ever do for our humanity. I think our children will come back and ask us, what were you doing in the world? We owe it to ourselves. So for me, even though we're teaching coding skills, we do a lot of digital literacy, media education to make sure that young women know that there's lack of women in the industry. And there's lots of opportunities. At the moment, as I'm speaking to you, only 33% of the people that are working in the industry have gone through formal education like university or what in Africa. So that means 66% of the people working in the industry who at this moment still happens to be white male are self-taught. And I come from an era where we were very energetic, building skills. I live in Cape Town. Cape Town was the biggest in terms of skills production. And, you know, companies like Microsoft, Cisco had academies here. And participating as Black IT Forum, I'll have to explain what is that. Black IT Forum, you know, is a movement of Black people, and we're trying to address this imbalances in the tech space, right? From careers to owning the means, like ownership, like SMMEs and everything. And even in those days, we were leading as Black people, but if you look at Black-owned companies today that are being funded, you ask yourself what happened. So we can sit here and be in denial of the space still being driven by those who have money and being racist. And I'm not gonna use the word racist in terms of funding and who gets funded. And not because people are racist, because people fund who looks like them. So we need to get Black people to start producing tech, and we need to get Black women to produce tech so that they can employ ourselves and they can grow the industry. And my passion nowadays is on internet governance. So even though I still teach girls how to code, on my other side, I'm building myself a lot on internet governance and artificial intelligence, because that's where, again, the dynamics are being strong. The coded biases that we've been carrying of marginalizing Black people or people of color, as they would say it, has now been coded in a software. And if we don't address it now, if we don't address policies, if we don't participate in them, it's going to end up harming us in future. So in the end, at Girl Hype, we try to get girls to be employed in the tech and produce our tech and make sure that tech looks Africa.
Thank you so much. Wow, this conversation is going to be very interesting. I mean, you just brought up artificial intelligence, which is obviously one of the key issues or cases that we've been seeing for the past 5 years come to rise. And I think the public is becoming more aware of what AI is, what implications does it have, but most importantly, what positive influences does it have towards digital technology. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'm just reminding, we're about to go into our Q&A section right now, into our discussion, and I'd really like you and motivate you to please pose any questions that you'd like to understand further. I see I've already got 2 questions up, so I'll take those 2 questions and pose my questions that I kind of highlighted in the middle of the discussion, because I feel those are really important to discuss, especially it was highlighted and that needs to be emphasized. A multi-stakeholder approach is really needed. You need government, you need private sector, you need civil society to really come together and work towards dealing with these issues. I'm going to first take Christina's question, and I'll pose this generally to the whole, to all the speakers that we have today. And Christina's saying, with many corporate companies hire and give priority to people with degrees, how will you ensure that your short courses, and I'm assuming here you are talking about the programs that they obviously provide, will be recognized as compatible skills to develop, or to people with degrees, and micro credentials are not accepted in corporate environments? How would we change that? So Christina is kind of looking at more into, the qualification aspect of the programs that you are providing. And I know you're dealing with young people. So I don't know if any of you would like to tackle that one, how it can be fused when we're now talking, tertiary, or when we're talking now working environments for young people.
I think I'll take this one. So we actually have a program that is tackling this issue, our online bootcamp. So what we do is, obviously we've realized that in varsity, you study computer sciences, but it doesn't teach you the relevant skills that you actually need to get hired in corporates. So what we've done is actually partner with various corporates and find out what skills that they are looking for. And we essence then upskill our Go coders with these skills in order to get them employed and actually place them in these corporates that we've partnered with. That way we bridge the whole unemployment gap, and our girls have skills that are relevant to, the industry right now. Because again, as much as you go through varsity 3 years and you pay all this money only to sit at home. And then again, there's the other side of it where we have our girls who can't afford to go to varsity. But we all know with coding, you don't necessarily need a varsity education to actually learn it and actually excel at it. So again, we have a program that is for girls who actually don't have a varsity qualification, but we do upskill them as well with the relevant skills that they would need in order to get employment in various tech startups that we've partnered with. And we ensure that we place them in these different tech startups. So basically we research as to what is relevant now, and we upskill our beneficiaries with these skills that they need to thrive in this industry.
Thank you so much, Tinika. I don't know if the other 2 speakers would like to tackle it as well from their perspective.
Yeah, I think we do similar thing to what Girl Code is doing at the moment. We've got a graduate program also of people who graduated from university, different degrees, and they couldn't get employment and they want to switch to tech. Or they are just unemployed and we want to encourage them to take tech because maybe it will fast track their employment. So those are the ones that I said I had to get them to log online now. So because it's an online program, we managed to reach most of South African females. And I think the way we structured the program, we worked with Microsoft on the project, and they helped us to really design the curriculum that's going to give the girls employable skills based on the research that they have done with all the partners and the corporates that they are working with, because they have their own internal programs that they run, and they see what companies are looking for. We've got a great partnership with Dimension Data, if I have to throw them in. They are the ones who really pipeline our skill sets to say, this is what industry is looking for in the next coming 5 years, or this is what we are looking for. And we take from them, because for us, it's not our specialty to find what corporates are looking for. And, you know, we live in South Africa. South African corporates like taking, okay, that's very generous statement. Let me rephrase what I was going to say. What happens is, to be employed in South Africa, you need a great network of people. You need great reference. You need to know somebody who knows somebody. And now what we've done is, though we've partnered with some startups and we partner with big corporates that do the networking on our behalf. So when they get people recruiting on their departments, they then refer that. So Girl Hype also offers skills, this kind of skill sets, and we are working with them and we are funding them. So we try to build that trust that wouldn't normally be given to an organization run by Black women with Black girls on their own. So that has helped in the past. 56% of the girls had been employed, whether they are coding or doing admin or doing something, at least it's an entry-level job. And once they are there, though we continue mentoring them to make sure that once they've entered the job market, they now know what opportunities are available. Because just coding is not going to get you into the tech job. We all know that. But that entry into the market is enough for you to start knowing, what do I need? What are opportunities inside this corporate, and how do I grow within it? Because corporates are changing themselves. We know what's going to happen in the next coming 5 years in terms of learning how to code. We don't know what jobs are available. So it's for the person to get inside the corporate and start looking what opportunities are available and what are they offering, how are they restructuring, and how do I position myself to grow in the company.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure if the other two, Ms. Masejo, Pagamile, would you like to just add input into that?
Yes. So our focus is more about empowering all children, all South African children, whether girls or boys, on basic digital literacy skills. And I mean, we can definitely appreciate the initiatives from Diniko and Baratang around trying to get young people into formal employment through the various initiatives, right? But if you think about other young people that are not really interested in going into tech spaces, into going to coding and all those things, they also need digital literacy skills. For example, if you look at a young person who's in grade 9 or grade 10 who's looking to get into business, we want to empower that young person to use the internet responsibly and safely to be able to then get into business, to understand, how do I use Instagram to grow my business? How do I use Facebook to grow my business? How can I use the internet as a whole to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that the internet has to offer as a businessman? And I don't want to get into technology and coding and all those things, but we want to help all children understand I mean, when I'm talking about how do we use Instagram, that's even high level. We, at the basis, like I said, is about ensuring that all South African children between the ages of 12 or even lower, as soon as they're using any kind of device to the ages of 18 and obviously even adults, how do we get them to become active digital citizens, to understand the importance of the internet in advancing their own initiatives and advancing their own agendas and using the internet as an opportunity to be able to get ahead in life, whether you're in the tech space or not in the tech space. So that's our approach. And so our Web Ranger course or program is not really for credits, or it's not really for getting you into the next kind of course level or something like that. It's more of building the foundation. And that's why we want to incorporate it more fully into the schooling system, because we believe it goes hand in hand with English, it goes hand in hand with maths, it goes hand in hand with all the other subjects that are taught in school as the basis of basic education. Even before we can get into coding, even before we can get into the tech space, just basic education around the digital world. Just like math and science, it will help us in the physical world and helping young people understand the physical world. Digital and media literacy skills will help young people understand the digital world in which that we now so forcefully engage in, or we find ourselves in. With COVID-19 and schools doing alternative days, young people are finding themselves using WhatsApp to do their lessons. They're engaging with their teachers on WhatsApp. What does that mean for young people? What does that mean for education? How do young people then position themselves to be able to better understand the world around them? And how, and so importantly, we're talking about the digital space, but we also have to understand that as we go forward, the digital space and the often online space are merging so forcefully, and so we really have to understand our young people. We have to help our young people understand and better position them to be able to engage more meaningfully in this. And so that's just from Web Ranger perspective in terms of embedding those skills, those basic skills, as part of basic education.
Thank you so much, Pagamila, for that. I think the next question, well, I'm taking about two questions, more of a comment as well from one of them, is dealing with the exclusion of boys, because other than obviously Web Rangers that deals with children in general, we do have other programs, 3 programs here that specifically look at empowering young girls, young women. And I'm just gonna read out one of the comments, that says, my worry is that we are leaving that black boy behind. It sounds like all the speakers are only doing programs for girls. We should push for all kids to learn how to code. The second one is by Paul, and I think Ms. Baratang spoke lightly about this and looking at the issue of maybe perhaps race. And he's saying, to what extent is part of the problem that white boys are taught that it is okay to fail, to learn by yourself? The ability to drop out without being destitute is simply built in. White guys are presumed more competent than we are proved to be. And he says he's a white guy, by the way. So I don't know if the ladies with the empowering of young girls specifically would like to tackle this one, as to why you chose that approach. And we spoke of gaps, etc. But I think you can just deep dive a bit more into that. I think, Tanika, Ms. Baratang, do you want to tackle it?
I'm going to talk about research. So research has proved that only 5% of executive positions in the tech industry are held by men. It has also proved that 5% of those, 98% of them is white males. So research has also proved that when university girls get to universities, they drop out of computer science. So the computer science class is full of males, black, white, everybody. It's just male-dominated space. I work in the startup industry, so I work a lot with accelerators and incubators. And without research, my eyes have proved to me when I walk into an incubator, 90 of the companies in the startup industry are owned by male. And my eyes have also taught me through Girl Hype that if we bring one boy into the program, he immediately picks up that computer, learn how to code immediately, and the girls are swallowed in the process. My eyes have also taught me, by just looking around, that only 2% of female-owned startups in the tech industry are being funded. So research proved, it's been proven all over the world, that the tech industry tends to attract more men, and men feel comfortable because of culture, how they are raised, that failing is fine. Even African male are raised like that. Failing is fine. The culture of cheating, if we take it further, men are allowed to do those things. Women are allowed to be perfect. The world of tech is a world where you have to learn to fail, to cheat the system, to be able to beat the system. And that culture that men are groomed around, girls are not groomed around it. We are creating a space, and I know Girl Code does a very good job with university students because that's where they excel more. We are creating a space where women and young girls will feel safe to break technology, to work, to know about leadership and be able to accelerate it. We are not competing with men. We are not in the industry of breaking down men. We are not saying, hey, men didn't get there. All we are saying is opportunities should be equal. And if for some reason women are not going to do it by themselves, let's create a space. If for some reason girls are not going to have the balls and the guts to do it, we will help them, we'll push them there until they believe in themselves. So that's what we do. And if people don't believe in women, we will force them to believe in women. So that's our job. How men get there and how the young Black boys are left behind, it worries me also. It's something that needs to be addressed. But we are dealing with a very specific issue here, which is gender disparity in tech. So if we want to deal with skills involvement, bringing more African men into the space, that would be a different topic. My agenda is to make sure that I make sure that this gender inequality in the tech space doesn't exist.
Thank you so much. I think you actually answered perfectly, and I think you highlighted research that we can't dispute with. As you said, well, our eyes can see the gap as well, and we are not trying to deliberately leave somebody behind. We are just trying to fill that gap and give the girls the empowerment they need to say that they can also do it. They can also get into the space as well. So I hope, Paul, you're answered in that section. I think Ms. Mia definitely did the most in giving us a bit of an elaboration as to why that mandate became the central point of Girl Hype, Girl Code, etc. I know Sindisiwe is asking a bit of a more technical question as to how we're going to tackle digital literacy skills, obviously to empower young people to be able to use those skills in terms of employment, etc. But there's one aspect that I wanted to just ask the panel in general, and then from there on, we'll move on to Sindisiwe's question, and then we'll end off with Ms. Masego, who will just give us a bit of an elaboration because she touched on cybersecurity. We just want to know a bit more about that and how children or how young people are getting involved in that. But most importantly, what are the key threats when we're saying cybersecurity, especially in South Africa? And I think as an audience, we need to understand where are we currently in that situation. So I know Upagabile spoke about the barriers that are faced when, especially you are in a civil society, and there are barriers put in place for you that you need to jump over to be able to achieve what you need to achieve. And I just want to ask from each speaker, what are the current barriers at this current point that are there, that are kind of preventing that movement to be aggressive more forward and to be achieving that digital potential that we need currently in this country? I'll start with Ms. Masego. Ms. Moncho?
Yes, thank you. As I've indicated, with cybersecurity is more about protection of networking systems. So one of the key elements one of the panel, the attendees was asking about the formality of the sector. So let me touch a bit on that. Government and SETA, specifically MICT SETA, with cybersecurity specialists across the country, have been working tirelessly to ensure that there is a formal qualification for cybersecurity. So what we have been currently doing is to provide our services through vendor accreditation. For an example, from my side, we are operating within the Cisco Academy, which is still highly required in the industry. So we need to ensure security operational readiness of secure network system, monitoring networks, and help ensure integrity of devices and data. Understand how levels network architecture and how network operates. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dinyiko? If you can touch on, the barriers that you face currently in your program, obviously to achieve what you are, your mandate is. Just give us a bit of a highlight. What are the issues currently?
One of our biggest issues is lack of infrastructure. Again, we, with who our target audience is, we need computers and tablets and laptops. We need to get them out into the townships, the rural areas. So one of our biggest issues is, the lack of equipment, as well as funding. Like Ms. Baratang actually touched on this topic earlier about how it's very difficult to get big corporates to fund Black female-led organizations. So that's why it's very important for us to obviously partner with certain other corporates in order to get our foot in the door. But yeah, our biggest barriers currently are the lack of infrastructure, and again this data situation, because again, in South Africa we don't have Wi-Fi everywhere. So to get the network industries, your Vodacoms, your MTNs to jump on board and actually zero rate some of these programs that we run on our platform is another barrier that we currently face, that it doesn't help us to reach even more masses like we would like to reach, even because now, the time is now to basically, equip the youth. So yeah, those are the current challenges that we're facing, but we are dealing with them and are fighting, and we are not going to stop. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know if the other speakers have any different barriers that they are dealing with, because I know the common one obviously is infrastructure, funding, data, access, etc. But are there any other, barriers that you've probably faced along the way or are facing currently?
Yes.
We can go ahead, Ms. Baratang.
It's for corporates to trust that whatever we are doing is equal to what any other organization that I don't want to mention here is doing. It's it might sound stupid for me to say, because somebody might not understand, but we get girls from Girl Hype who really code very well. And then we're looking for jobs for them and they don't get a job. And I say to them, go to that organization and register yourself for 2 months and put it on your CV. But then we still continuing doing the job search, but by virtue of them saying I'm registered at what, forgetting that when they write exam, when they're doing all their entry exams, it's information that they learned from our program. They're just there for 2 months and they get a job. So I feel like the marketing that's been done in our country is good, and the support that's being given to certain program is good, but we need to remove that. We need to trust each other, because that has nothing to do with these corporates. It has everything to do with the culture of South Africa of funding white-owned females companies, or and it has to come to an end. It has to stop.
Thank you, Ms. Baratang. I think what I'm going to do is, because, we touched on the barriers now, and I see there's the 2 questions. Usindisiwe was one of them, and Talia also speaking into this issue as well. And I'd like to read out the question, but also give a bit of an elaboration from Usindisiwe. Talia says, I would like to know in terms of employment. I want to know, what is the future of coding in the next 10 to 15 years? Will it still be important as we move towards the 4IR? Won't the increase of computerized systems be a threat to employment or tech specifically? I imagine we'll be having machines that automatically code, and now we're kind of going into artificial intelligence and AI, and how will that obviously affect when you're talking employment and job opportunities? However, Usindisiwe is also saying now, with all these skills that we mentioned now today, although majority was around coding, and you get Web Rangers who's now talking at the basis of digital literacy skills, coming to job hunting processes, interviews, CV revamping, and I think this has been the talk in society as to how do we equip young people who are in high school to gain those skills that are needed needed when they get out into the real world, or even tertiary institutions, whereby we are equipping young people with the skills that are required, that will kind of give them the upper hand when it comes to seeking employment, or when it comes to even simply advertising themselves. I know Opagamile spoke of how to use social media, for example, to enhance your image, or to enhance your capabilities, and how to also turn that into something maybe you can make a profit out of. But how do we incorporate that into our curriculum or our programs, etc.? So I don't know who's going to be tackling this one first. I'm not sure, Pagamile, do you want to go into it, especially looking at the curriculum part?
Yes. So when I talk about digital and media literacy skills, it starts off with, what is the internet? Do we understand what the internet is? How does it work? How do you access trustworthy sites? And then it escalates into disinformation. How do young people know which sites to use for research? How do you know which sites are trustworthy and can be used? How do they spot disinformation and misinformation so that they are informed with the correct kind of news? And then it goes into, how do you market yourself as a young person online? How do you use social media and the internet? We talk about digital footprint. How do you use it and understand that the things that you say when you like something, when you comment on something, that is your digital footprint. And in the years coming, you won't need to send a CV. They'll just pop into Instagram, they'll pop into your Facebook and see the kind of person that you are, the kind of person that you are representing when you go on Facebook and on Instagram and on Twitter, And so that really becomes important. And so when we escalate our trainings and our curriculum, it starts from the basis, but it also goes into that kind of thing about, how do you use Instagram as your CV? How do you use Facebook as your CV? Before we even get to coding, that's so high level, but how do we use the basis of what you do every day? How do you use WhatsApp? How do you create a business account on WhatsApp, as a young person, or or as a young person who likes beading and all those kind of things. And so it's really about understanding how to use the internet responsibly, safely, and in a way that maximizes on the opportunities that exist online. And that's the basis of how I understand it, of how web rangers understand it. And we've seen our young people who when they started, they were so nervous about using the internet, so nervous about using YouTube, and they were so passionate about so many things. Some of our web rangers are bloggers, and now because they understand how to use the internet responsibly, they know the do's and don'ts of online etiquette, and the importance of digital footprint. They've now become bloggers. Some of them have TikTok accounts that they're using responsibly and showcasing their talents, and so that's really the basis and if we talk about influencers is a huge industry if done correctly and responsibly, and so these are some of the things that our young people can tap into, but using the internet responsibly and safely. So that's really the basis, and also helping our young people to be more comfortable with using these spaces and understanding that a CV is not something that you type out and then you print. It's your Facebook account, it's your Instagram, and how do you begin to build those connections online so that you can then start to build your career and your CV online, so that when you do go to an interview, people already know about you. Baratang talked about connections. In order to get a good job, you definitely need connection. You definitely need to know the right people. And so how do you build those things online? And you can't go now and stand outside of APSA and say, I want to just talk to someone there so I can build a connection. No, it's following those people on Twitter, right? Commenting on the issues, commenting on current affairs, understanding the news, it's all those things that are all online that will help you build up who you are and the kind of person that you want to show to your employer. So that by the time you get into a room, people know about you. People know who you are on Twitter. People have already read about you, and so that conversation becomes easier. That connection becomes easier, and you're able to then get the employment of your dreams or employment that you desire.
Thank you so much, Pagamilo, for that. I think you actually even touched on one of the key things that we wanted to discuss in the session, and that is how to use the internet responsibly. And you touched on digital footprint. You touched on knowing that when employers now are looking at your CV, it goes beyond that. What are you on the digital space? Who are you and what are you representing? I know we are short for time, so I'd just like to tackle that last one around where is coding 10 to 15 years from now, and what is it going to look like, especially with the advancement of AI? Is it going to give opportunities or take away opportunities? I don't know know if Ms. Baratang, Tiniko, and Umasiho would like to tackle this one quickly. 1 minute input for me, please.
I will decline from answering Talia because she's a student from Girl Hype, but I have to mention Talia is the greatest engineer I've ever met. She's final engineering whatever student, and she is looking for internship. So anyone who wants to employ the best women
networking. Positive stuff. Tiniko, I don't know if you want to give an outlook for Utalia, who's a future fabulous young woman who's looking for opportunities.
Yeah, well, first of all, well done to her and her achievements. Secondly, with where the future is going, I don't think it will create a form of exclusion or irrelevance, because at the end of the day, as much as the world is going to be so digitally advanced and there's going to be robots and stuff, these robots need to be built by someone at the end of the day. Someone needs to code all those, things that need to be embedded into that robot. And even with that being said, there's just so much in the STEM space, and there's just so much. I mean, like, you get your data, data science as well. There's people who need to do all this research that robots can't necessarily do. So 10 to 15 years from now, machines aren't necessarily going to take over, but they will be quite evident and prominent in this industry, and they will help us. However, you still need that coding skill to be relevant, which is why it's important that no matter what industry you are in, to have some sort of form of coding skills, just, because at the end of the day, I mean, it's one of the most sought after skills currently. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, I know it's short for time, but there was also there was a two-part question where you asked around getting high school girls and getting them skills like to prepare for their CVs, etc. So what we do with our girls is we have recruiters who come from the different corporates that we partner with to actually come in and train the girls and let them know, like, what is a CV, how to put a CV together, what is LinkedIn, how to use LinkedIn to properly position yourself so that you're able to, get employed by these companies and you can grab their attention and use it the right way that it should be. Just to touch on Paramile's point as well regarding social media and using it to your advantage and what not to post, because I mean, companies literally do search for our social media and they will know a lot about you before you even walk into a room. So what we do with our girls, we ensure that, our programs are holistic. We don't just only equip them with technical skills, but soft skills as well, so that when they get into these positions, they can thrive in these positions and also pave the way for the next girl at the end of the day. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think now it highlights the importance of understanding, what the space, gives opportunities for. You spoke of, data science, etc. So I think, Talia, it's about looking at, where do you want to specialize in and, going further in depth into that, because obviously AI does at the end of the day need a human to tell it what to do or to obviously shape it into what it needs to be. Ms. Masejo, I don't know if you want to give a last comment. I'm about to close off the session because I know I'm running about 3-4 minutes behind. Are you with us? Awesome.
Yes, yeah. No, I would like to encourage more women into the cybersecurity space. I know it's new. Most people are not familiar with, but there are lots of opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know one of the participants wanted to know where can they get to know more about your programs or your organizations. So I know that we're going to end off the session, but can you please just type in the chat, I don't know, your website or where they can get a hold of more information. And with that, thank you so much for this conversation. It was really empowering to see what programs are out there and what they're doing and the work that you guys are doing and the importance of what you guys are doing. And thank you to the audience as well for engaging with us today. And yeah, Peter, Mr. Peter, I think you can take over from me. I know I stole a bit of the time, but it was really an interesting conversation.
All right. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, colleagues. This is some of the conversation, especially coming from you as women, that makes me feel like, you know what, I can be a girl today. I mean, the discussion was just something else. What I liked more was you guys, you were not mincing your way. You say there was not that kind of being scared to speak up about what you know, the truth, and in terms of what should be done. Ms. Baratang, I must admit, I've never heard you talking so strong and so active like you did today. A good preparation. I appreciate you. Ms. Pakamile, you spoke like somebody that has been in this business for the previous 20 years. I'm not sure if I'm just giving your age away, but Nomshado, guys, did you have a rehearsal of these sessions before this?
No, it just shows women empowerment. I mean, we rock, but no.
I mean, I can say much about you, but colleagues, I mean, I appreciate you all. And what I like more is it's coming from women. Previously, you guys were not given enough time or enough chance for you to do what you know best. But here we are today, young as we are, you are able to do things not only for yourselves, but for other people as well, which I appreciate. Ms. Baratang, the girls that it's unfortunate we won't be able to see them. I would have loved to see those girls. But I promise, trust me, after this, you and I are going to have a conversation. Colleagues, with that said, we need to move to the next session. I see there's a tea break that is starting now until the next session is going to start at 11:30. So if you could please break for now and then come back at 11:30. The ladies that attended, there's still some sessions that are going to be relevant for them. I heard, is it Nomsha, is it Pakamilo start talking about the issues of disinformation. The next session we're going to be talking about disinformation in the lead up to 2021 local government elections. And I think the girls will also like to learn more about that, Ms. Baratang, if you can keep them around, please. So with that said, colleagues, we can break and then come back again at 11:30. I thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.